Well, if inflation wasn't bad enough, markets are in free fall, which is putting many people in danger of being financially wiped out. Watch this.
Markets lost $6 trillion the week the tariffs were announced. The dollar fell, recession risks now above 60%.
It's essentially an economic Armageddon. If these tariffs stayed in place, this is as nervous as I've seen investors going back to, COVID March 2020.
And when it comes to the housing market, things are definitely not looking better. Check this out.
Well, Kelly, look, as you said, we've already talked a lot about the tariff impact on builder costs, increases on imported lumber, drywall, aluminum, and appliances. Builders will pass those costs on to consumers, but prices on existing homes could rise as well. Morgan Stanley analysts this week noted an immediate impact should be fewer builds and pushing the marginal buyer into the existing market. So that new demand shifted their forecast from 2025 from their base case 2% year-over-year price decline on existing homes to closer to their bull case of a 5% price gain.
So this is obviously not good for millions of people. And coming up, I'm going to show you what I think is going to happen to home prices and also reveal to you something that's going to prevent a lot of potential homeowners from making a mistake. Stay tuned. What's going on, my YouTube friends? This is Jerry Abbott, your #1 real estate resource here in beautiful Las Vegas. Hey guys, a couple of real quick things before we dive into the video. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn the cold hard facts about the U.S. economy, the U.S. real estate market, and specifically the Las Vegas real estate market, then make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Number 2, if you happen to like the content in today's video, make sure to press that thumbs up like button, guys. That would really help the channel out. And number 3, if you are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, whether it's next month or next year, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. Let's dive into the video. So as expensive as things are right now, most people think that the economy is headed for a recession, but that does not mean things like home prices are going down. In fact, the opposite might be true, and I want to show you what I mean in this article coming up. All right, so this article just came out from Barron's. Take a look at that headline right at the top where it says, "Home prices will stay high, Powell forecast." Now that's Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, saying that, and I want to quote a few lines here in this particular article to show you what he's saying specifically about the housing market. So let me read this sentence right here in the second paragraph that I'm going to highlight in yellow. It says, "I think for a long time we're still going to see upward pressure on housing prices, maybe until population growth slows or until we catch up." So now if we scroll to the bottom part of this article, we take a look at this last paragraph here. Fed Chairman Powell also says the following here that I want to highlight in yellow. He says tariffs could increase the cost of materials that might be imported, and stricter immigration policies could limit labor supply and drive up costs as well. He goes on to say at the very bottom, but even once these short-term things happen, we're still going to have not enough houses. So now this is pretty telling because Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is notorious for not really giving a definitive answer. But when he's looking at the housing market right now, and he's looking at the shortage now of inventory of homes, he's also talking about labor force issues, and now he's talking about tariffs. He's pretty definitive right now in thinking that the housing market is going to stay elevated in terms of overall home prices. Now, again, we don't know what's going to happen with the economy. Things are very shaky right now. But for him to give this kind of a definitive answer is pretty shocking. And it's also very telling that the housing market is likely going to stay elevated based on his commentary. Now, one of the big reasons for this is because while overall housing inventory has been increasing, as you can see right next to me, the real housing inventory numbers in this next graphic is going to show you how low we still are compared to just a few years ago. All right, so now let's take a look at this U.S. map graphic. Take a look at the very top where it says active housing inventory for sale compared to pre-pandemic levels. Shift between March 2019 and March 2025. Now, a lot of talk has been happening in the news now about how overall housing inventory has been increasing dramatically over the last year, and that's true. But when we zoom out and we look at the last several years from before the pandemic in March of 2019 to March of 2025, you're going to see some of the color coding here on this map here and shows you just how low inventory still is throughout the country. Let's take a look at a few states here, just kind of cherry pick a few. All right, so I'm going to choose a few states here. Now, the darker colored states are the states that still have the lowest amount of housing inventory. The lighter colored states are the states that are starting to come up, and the blue colored ones are some of the few states here within the country that have now reached positive territory. So let's just start up here in the Northeast. You can see right there next to my picture in the state of Maine, it says minus 59%. That means Maine has almost 60% lower housing inventory still since before the pandemic time period. If we go down right here to Massachusetts, minus 52%. If we go to New Jersey right there, minus 67%. If we go down right here to North Carolina, minus 21%. Now when we go all the way down to Florida here, you can see that this is like a light blue colored state. This is now 16% above pre-pandemic levels. So there are some states like Florida now that are finally starting to see positive inventory levels. If we go over here to Texas, Texas also is increasing tremendously, 21% up since pre-pandemic levels. Now, if we go up to the mid part of the country here, if we go up to Wisconsin, you can see that a dark colored state, minus 50%. North Dakota, right there at the top of the country, minus 51%. If we go over here to Colorado, this is a blue colored state, they're now at plus 16%. If we go over to my state right here, we're still minus 13%, even though we've seen inventory go up tremendously in the last year here in the Nevada area. And then over here in California, still minus 20%. So now if we zoom out and we look at this entire US map graphic, there's only 8 states in the entire country that have now achieved a positive housing inventory level, whereas the other 42 states are in negative territory, and a lot of them are still severely deep in that negative territory situation. So again, it goes back to the fact that when we have low housing inventory still throughout most of the country and demand is still fairly strong, this is why home prices have remained very high. So when we zoom out, we can see that overall housing inventory is still quite low from just a few years ago. And more specifically here in the Las Vegas real estate market, you can see right next to me that housing inventory is up about 60% in just the last year. But you can also see right next to me that home prices are still at record highs since the beginning of this year. And coming up, I want to show you a few examples on the popular real estate website Zillow of what's going on more specifically here in the Las Vegas real estate market. All right, so now I'm on the popular real estate platform Zillow that most of you are familiar with, and I wanted to show you just a couple of examples of Las Vegas homes for sale, starting with a luxury example and then working down closer to the median price point, just to show you what's going on with home prices here in the last few years. So let's first take a look at this example. You can see the price point on this particular home. It's a $1,450,000 home. It's a 2-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,600 square foot home. But down below, I want to show you the full pricing history here because I think this is going to be pretty shocking to you. All right, so take a look down at the bottom of the screen in the blue highlight. Down in the bottom left here, the date says 8/24/2018. So we're going back about 6.5 to 7 years ago when this home was sold for just $849,000. Now, when we look just above it in that yellow highlight, you see the date 4/6/2025. So this home has been listed for sale for barely just about a week. And the current list price, of course, is $1,450,000. So just take a look at this example. In about 6 or 7 years since before the pandemic till now, this home is appreciated over 70% in basically what the seller's mind thinks this home is valued at, even though in my opinion, it won't go for this price. It's likely going to go through a price reduction. But again, even if there is a price reduction on this particular home, let's say it goes down to $1.4 million or even $1.3 million, take a look at the kind of profit that these sellers are going to make in such a short period of time. Because again, this is what's been happening to not just home prices, but everything in the economy. Prices continue to go higher, and I don't see that changing, especially for high-ticket items like homes over the long term. All right, so now let's take a look at this second example of another Las Vegas home for sale. Now we're definitely coming pretty far down in price. Now again, the median price point of any Las Vegas home right now is just about $485,000. So you can see on the left side of the screen, this home is about $100,000 more than the median price point here in Las Vegas. It's currently listed at $589,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, almost 2,500 square foot home. But again, I want to show you the pricing history from about 10 years ago to this current price, just to show you the kind of appreciation that's happened in the price history down below. All right, so one more time, focus your attention down at the bottom of the screen in the blue highlight. Down in the bottom left there, the date says 4/8/2015. So we're going back 10 years ago when this home was sold for just $260,000, which was a very reasonable price 10 years ago in the Las Vegas real estate market. But now fast forward 10 years later and look just above it. The sellers put this home on the market in February of this year for $590,000. They think the home has appreciated 127% in that 10-year window. Now, here's the thing. Even if this home goes through a price reduction and it goes down to $575,000 or $550,000 or even $500,000, just look at how much more homes cost now in what was once an affordable city like Las Vegas. Homes that were $260,000 10 years ago are now well over $500,000. Now, here's the thing. Nobody knows what's going to happen to the economy or the housing market, but when we look at the trajectory, especially of home prices over the long term, we are never going back to prices from 10 years ago. We may get a correction, but even if we do, we know what that trajectory is, and pricing is likely going to go higher, a lot higher, over the long term. So again, these are just a couple of the many examples that I find on popular real estate platforms like Zillow here in the Las Vegas real estate market. And when I see where home prices are just from even 5 or 10 years ago, it is truly astonishing. And again, a lot of us, including me for a long time, thought a correction is definitely necessary. But again, what we think and what actually is reality are two very different things. And coming up, I want to show you my favorite comment from last week's video that talks specifically about that. And then I'm going to come back on the other side once I show it to you on screen. So MIB wrote, last 5 years, home prices skyrocketed. The market needs to go through correction. It may not be as bad as 2008, but it needs correction. Until then, most people are priced out. So now that commenter is right in the sense that in the last 5 years, home prices have definitely skyrocketed, and he's thinking that we need a correction. But what we need, again, goes back to what we think and what we feel, and that's very different than the reality of the situation. With low inventory, we have labor issues now, we've got tariffs coming into place, and if we get interest rates lower, that likely means that home prices are going to go even higher. So now I want to hear from you guys. I want you to drop me a comment down below. I read and respond to all of my comments. I showed you guys earlier in the video how we have still low housing inventory. We've got tariffs now in place. We've got labor shortage issues coming up and potentially lower interest rates. Do you think, even though home prices have gone up tremendously in the last few years, do you think the economy and the housing market is going to go through a downturn and a correction? And why do you think that's going to happen? And my favorite comment from this week's video, I'm going to give a direct on-screen shout out to in next week's video. So just to close out the video, I just want to leave you guys with one final comment. A lot of people keep saying it's a mistake right now to buy a home because the economy right now is very shaky. Now, here's the way I look at it. There's the haves versus the have-nots. The haves are the people that earn a high income, that have a lot of wealth, that own a home or multiple homes. They're business owners, they're investors. Those people are going to continue to buy throughout the economy, regardless of what goes on in the economy. But the majority of people that have been priced out, they need to consider the following, in my opinion. Take a look at this number right next to me. $420,000 right now is the approximate median home price in the United States. But take a look at this number right underneath it, $125,000. In my opinion, that's the baseline income that you need to earn in order to afford the median price point right now for a home in the US. If you don't earn that, in my opinion, you're not going to be able to comfortably afford a home. Now, I know everybody's situation is different, especially from a financial standpoint. You have to crunch your own numbers and determine what's comfortable and what's not comfortable. The people that are thinking about buying right now, they're likely going to be able to do it because they have the financial means to do so. The other people are going to probably sit on the sidelines, and that's fine. But in my opinion, it's likely just going to get tougher over time. But again, your own personal financial situation is something that you have to determine whether or not the timing is right to buy a home. Now, again, I know everybody's situation is different. If you are thinking about buying a home, especially here in the Las Vegas real estate market, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you in the next video.